Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video dedicated to coats and jackets from Sezane. So I'm going to be showing you 7 different coats, mostly from their new autumn winter collection, but I do also have a couple that have been older styles that they still have available. I want to talk you through the pros and cons of each coat, what I think of them, whether I would recommend them. We're going to start with the lightest of jackets that will be perfect for this current kind of transitional season. Then we'll move into some thicker wool winter coats. As always, if you do find these videos helpful, please do consider subscribing. I would love to have you here. Also consider following me on Instagram. I am going to Paris very shortly. I'm actually just packing in the background, as you can see. So if you would like to see what I get up to in Paris, then make sure to follow me on Instagram, because I'll be documenting that on Instagram stories particularly. And I think that's all of the disclaimers. So let's get into the coats and jackets. Okay, so let's start with the lightest of the 7 jackets I have to show you today. This one is from their new collection. It's the Romane Jacket. So it's a blazer style jacket rather than a coat. It's a pinstripe navy blazer, although I know it does now come in 2 additional colours. I think it comes in like a mottled ecru beige and a bright fuchsia pink as well. The Romane jacket that I have, I bought to go with the Lulu trousers that I also own in the navy pinstripe. Those will be coming up in a review video very shortly. But yeah, the jacket I actually bought in a size 10 and a size 12 because I wasn't sure which one I would prefer. Trying them on, they are very similar. Obviously, the 10 is just ever so slightly tighter. They both work. I don't actually have any strong preferences which I prefer. I think they're both fine. So I would say the jacket runs true to size. It's a really nice single-breasted, slightly more minimal design blazer. It's not so boxy, it's not so oversized, but it is quite long line. So my only kind of consideration with this jacket when recommending it is if you're very petite, I think this might be a little bit long on you. Otherwise, if you like a longer line blazer but you don't necessarily like lots of buttons, or a double-breasted blazer that can feel a bit boxy, a little bit heavy, then I feel like this could be a really nice option. It is fairly minimal. It has just 1 button to fasten it, and it also has some buttons on the cuffs as well. The navy is pretty dark, so it almost reads as black in some lights, and the pinstripe is quite subtle as well, so it's not a very stark pinstripe. It's almost like a faded white, so it is very subtle. It's really lovely, very timeless. I think this would also look great with jeans or with black tailored trousers or a different color tailored trouser. I think it is a really nice, very minimal, very sleek looking jacket, and I'm very pleased with it. So that is the first jacket. The second one I want to talk to you about is actually the one I am wearing. If you're eagle-eyed, you may be able to tell that this is a Sezane jacket. This is the Nelson jacket in the pink suede. So this came out also with that pink suede skirt. I can't remember the name of that. I haven't bought the skirt yet to try. I was thinking of trying it, but in reality, I'm probably not going to wear a pink suede skirt. So I haven't bought it yet, but I did decide to try the jacket because I just loved the look of it so much. It's right up my street. It's very 60s. I love this pink shade, and I really like a lot of the design details and the fit of it as well. So I'll talk you through that now. So I got the jacket in a UK 10, so my regular size, and I would say it's a nice size. It's not too oversized. It fits me in the shoulders and in the sleeves, but it is a little bit kind of boxy. It's not oversized, but it's boxy, it's comfortable. You could definitely wear a lighter layer underneath. I'm just wearing a sleeveless top at the moment, but you could definitely wear something with sleeves. Probably not a really thick jumper, but you know, a lighter weight, perhaps a cotton jumper or something thin like a merino wool. Yeah, I really do like it. I love the ruching or the elasticated waistband at the bottom. It almost kind of has that bomber jacket feel, which is very on trend at the moment, but I like the way it sits on my waist. I think it's quite a flattering length on me because it doesn't fall past my hips, so it kind of cinches me in at the waist, and worn with a pair of jeans or trousers, I think that's a nice look. I don't have many jackets of this length in my wardrobe. A lot of my coats and jackets are longer. They're like knee length or calf length. They're long line coats. So I really did feel like this was something that I could add to my wardrobe, and it's almost like my version of a leather jacket. I've never really found a leather jacket that I've loved. I don't love the look of a black leather jacket, and I was considering buying a brown leather jacket, which I still maybe will do one day, but I feel like this is almost my alternative. It's a little bit more colourful. It suits my style a little bit better. I love the shade of pink. I think it's quite flattering on my skin tone, and yeah, overall I just really love it. It's got beautiful little details. It's very subtle, so all of the buttons or the cuffs are kind of covered in the same lovely pink suede. In terms of doing it up, it just has poppers. That's probably the one thing I don't love about it. It has these silver poppers. They are covered on the front in the same material, but you can obviously see the popper on this side. Not something that bothers me hugely, but I would almost prefer if they were buttons maybe. I really love the collar as well. It's got quite a big oversized collar. Again, it feels quite 60s in its style. Yeah, it's a really beautiful jacket. I love the way it looks with a dark wash blue jean, but it looks good with lighter wash blue jeans as well, and I feel like I will wear it with other things. So yeah, I am quite happy with it. I would say it runs true to size. The lining is cotton, I believe, cotton or viscose, and it's in the same kind of colour as the front of the jacket. The suede is lovely. It's a very soft, it's not too thick. I feel like if you buy a suede or a faux suede jacket from cheaper brands like Zara, I feel like, are somewhere that would do something like this. They're a lot thicker and they feel a little bit more uncomfortable and a little bit more rigid when you walk around. That was always my issue with leather jackets as well. I always felt quite uncomfortable in them and quite sort of very stiff, and I couldn't really like feel comfortable in myself, whereas in this jacket it is so soft. It almost feels worn in and lived in already, but in the best way possible. It's not too thick, it's very, very soft, and it just feels super cozy right from the get-go, and as I said, almost like it's been worn in a little bit. So yeah, I do really love it. It is very expensive, and I don't know, I think you have to have a very particular style to be able to justify a pink suede jacket. I do think I might have seen a picture of it coming out in like an ecru beige colour. Not ecru, but like a light stone coloured beige. It might be a different jacket, but I'm sure I saw a preview of that. So if you're more of a neutrals person, then maybe stay tuned for that one. But it's beautiful. If you were thinking about it and you were considering it, but you weren't sure about the quality or the fit, I would say it is stunning. I think the fit is perfect in your usual size. And yes, I love everything about it. It's one of those special pieces that doesn't come along very often. And I'm kind of glad that I bit the bullet and decided to try it, because I feel like it's something I'll have in my wardrobe forever. Another sip of tea before we move into the next category. So we're moving from kind of blazers and crop jackets now into trench coats, and I have two trench coats to talk to you about. As you may know, I am a firm lover of the Scott Trench from Sezane. This is a trench coat I tried last year and have been wearing ever since. I actually sold my Burberry vintage secondhand trench coat to buy the Sezane one, because I much prefer the cut and the fit of the Sezane one, and I feel like the quality is honestly on par with higher end brands like Burberry, especially if you buy a Burberry secondhand. So the Scott Trench is a very classic cut for a trench coat. It's not one of these more trendy, oversized kind of long line trench coats that we've seen a lot over the last few years, nor is it a cropped trench that I feel like I've seen coming in recently, or one of those kind of hip length ones. It very much sits at about the knee on me. I'm 5'5". So it's very classic. It's not too oversized. I wouldn't say it's really oversized at all, but it's not super fitted either. It's just that right in the middle, very classic, will never go out of style, will always look good, will always look sophisticated kind of trench coat. And if you're looking for just one trench coat that you want to last you for years and years, and as I said, never look too trendy or too dated, then this is one I would highly recommend. The quality is beautiful. It's 100% cotton on the outside, so it's a very classic kind of trench coat material. And then it has a viscose acetate lining. It has beautiful button details. It's got these tortoiseshell buttons. It's got a tie waist belt so you can cinch it in at the waist. It's got some gorgeous details that I've not seen on any other trench coats before, higher end or otherwise. It's got these buttons at the back of the waist belt, so you can actually attach the belt to the coat itself, which means that the waist belt, if you don't have it tied and you just have it loose, doesn't fall to one side or fall completely out of the coat, which always used to happen with my Burberry trench, and it used to drive me insane. So you can actually fasten the waist belt to the coat, which I think is genius at the back. And then it also has these buttons down the vent at the back of the trench as well, so you can open and close the vent to your wish, to kind of your level, however you want it open, and it will affect the drape and the flow and how the trench moves as you move. So I just think the attention to detail on this particular coat is outstanding, and I recommend the Scott Trench to everyone. It comes in a khaki green colour. I have both actually, and it also comes in a classic kind of camel beige coloured trench coat colour that you kind of think of when you think of trench coats. There is also a navy one, but I believe that one's sold out at the moment. But yeah, whether you want to go for the khaki green or the beige, I will obviously show you both. I will say for sizing, I took my usual size, but I got a 10, a EU 38 in the green khaki, and I got a 40, a UK 12 in the camel. The only reason I did that is because the camel I got secondhand. I found that on eBay actually, so I just got it in the 40 because that's what was available. I would say both of them fit me fine. I'm between a 10 and a 12 in coats usually anyway. Obviously the camel one is ever so slightly bigger. I think if I was going to buy another one, I'd probably go with the 40 or the 12. I just like having that little bit of extra room if I do want to layer things like jumpers underneath. I can still put a jumper underneath the green one, but it's definitely tighter, particularly in the arms. So I would say it runs true to size. I've heard people say that it runs big. I don't really think it does. I think it's a coat. I think it's designed to have a little bit of room, as I said, so you can wear things underneath, because you're really not very rarely going to be wearing just a trench coat on its own, or even a trench coat with a t-shirt. The nature of a trench coat, it's worn in spring, it's worn in autumn, early winter. You're going to be layering things underneath. You do need a little bit of extra room. You don't want it to be super fitted to your body. If you're very petite, then I still think that this might work for you, to be honest. Again, it depends on how long you want it to be on you, but it isn't the longest of trench coats. It's actually on the shorter side, particularly of the trench coats that are often available nowadays, because those long line oversized cuts are more in style. I would say this one is on the shorter side, so I would say it could work for you if you are petite. If you're a regular height, it's going to look how it does on me, because I'm a very regular height. If you're really tall, then it might be too short for you, but again, it just depends on personal preference and how short or long you want it to be. If you are looking for a longer, more oversized trench coat, then that's where the Clyde comes into play. So the Clyde is Sezane's new trench coat for this season, and it's a little bit cooler in its design. It's less classic, a little bit more trend-led. So it's very oversized, it's quite boxy, it's quite long, it's much longer than the Scott. You can see, I'll do a side by side, so you can see the difference in kind of the cut and the length of the two coats. I got this one in a 10, so a size down from the camel Scott coat, but you can see it does fit bigger. It definitely fits longer, and there is no waist belt either. So to me, this is more of like a British kind of Mac car coat kind of style, rather than a classic trench coat. Obviously a trench coat is British as well, but this feels more kind of London British style, whereas the Scott trench to me feels more Parisian kind of style. So yeah, if you like that slightly cool girl, slightly edgier look, it also has the tartan lining, very reminiscent of something like a Burberry trench coat. It's really beautiful. I will say the colour of it is not the same. So on the website, I think that the colour of the camel Scott trench and the camel Clyde trench look quite similar. But in reality, you can see that the Clyde trench is much darker and much warmer, and much sort of like a richer brown than the Scott, which is much lighter. So depending on your preference, you might prefer one or the other. I would say the Scott is a more classic trench coat colour, albeit slightly on the lighter side, whereas the Clyde is darker than a lot of trench coats on the market. So yes, that was something that I don't feel like was represented that accurately on the website. As always, Sezane is terrible at kind of putting color grading on their pictures and things like that. So yeah, and filters. So I don't necessarily think it's represented accurately on the website. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. I know the Clyde is currently out of stock, but I do have some intel that it will be coming back in stock in October, which is very soon now. So I am including it in this video. So if you do have your eye on it and you weren't able to get it in the first release, then do make sure you sort of keep an eye on the website and maybe add it to your favorites or your wish list, so you are notified when it comes back in stock. It's a really nice coat. I was surprised at how much I like it. I was thinking that I was going to review this and then send it back, but I did end up keeping it because it is so different to the Scott coat. It feels like a completely different style of coat that gives a completely different look, and yeah, I was surprised at how much I like it. It feels very autumnal to me. It feels quite British, as I said, which obviously is appropriate for where I live. So I have already gotten lots of wear out of it, and I'm excited to continue wearing it through the rest of autumn. So the next coats I want to talk about are the two wool coats. So I have one new one and one older style to talk to you about today. So the first one is this cropped or shorter hip length wool coat. This is the Mathias Coat. As soon as I saw this come out a couple of weeks ago now, I knew I really wanted to try it. It's a beautiful shade. It's like this chestnut brown, very warm caramel brown tone. It's absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I was really excited to get my hands on this one and to review it for you. Got mine in a size 10 and I would say it fits well. I really do like this. So it's 100% wool and it is similar to the Mederick Coat, which I'm going to talk about in a second, in that it's not lined, but it's a double-faced wool. So it's essentially two panels of wool sewn together. So you've got wool inside and wool outside. I will say it's a tad itchier than the Mederick Coat, which is a coat I tried last year, which isn't itchy at all. It's a wool coat, it's not itchy. This one, okay, so when I first put it on, I was like, ooh, this is quite itchy, or I'm not sure I'm gonna like this. And then once I'd had it on for about 5 minutes, the itch just totally went away and it felt the same as the Mederick. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if it's maybe because I'm just not used to wearing wool because it's been summer and it's been a while since I've worn wool. Maybe that's what it is, and it is actually exactly the same material, I'm not sure. But when I tried the new Mederick, which I'm going to talk about in a second, it didn't feel as itchy. So there's something to bear in mind. I feel like it's ever so slightly more itchy than the Mederick. So if you are super sensitive, then maybe you won't want to try this one. I will say as soon as I had it on for a few minutes, it just stopped itching. And I'm really sensitive, like the Gaspard cardigan and things like that itch me to no end. So it's not... In terms of their wool and their mohair blends, it's really not that high on the itch scale. As I said, it's 100% wool, so there's no mohair or alpaca in it or anything like that. It's really beautiful. I love the design details on this coat. Again, cropped or shorter coats are not something I usually go for, but I'm definitely steering more towards them this year. I'm not sure what it is. I think they've just come around a little bit more. I think long line coats have been in for a long time and I've gotten very used to wearing them. And I do like them because you feel a little bit more protected from the elements. You feel a little bit cozier because you're more wrapped up and more covered. But I do actually really like the look of these shorter coats, and I love the neck detail. That's kind of the selling point of this coat, really. You can have it folded down so the lapels or the collar is quite wide and you can actually see quite a lot of your neck is exposed, but if it gets chillier you can bring it up and you can even button it so it stays kind of completely almost like a scarf. And I really like that about it. I think it's really cool. It looks quite high fashion. It looks quite high end. It is an expensive coat. I think it's £300, but it looks as expensive, if not more expensive than that, I think, because of this kind of detail. So yes, that's the Mathias coat. Very beautiful. Hopefully they bring this out in more colours because I know this warm brown isn't going to be for everyone. I don't think it suits me that much, but I love it too much to care if it suits me. So the final coat I have to talk to you about today is, of course, the Mederick Coat. This is a coat I tried last year. I've made a whole video about the Mederick Coat, so I'll leave that linked. But this new one is the Ecru one, which is new for this autumn winter. They are also releasing, I believe, 4 additional colours in the Mederick Coat over the next month or two. I know I think there's a green one coming, a purple one, a sand one, and a caramel or beige or something like that. So like 2 neutrals and 2 brights. So if you're into any of those colours, then do stay tuned. But this is the Ecru one, which is the one I had my eye on since January when they previewed it, and it finally came out a few weeks ago now. not quite cold enough to wear this yet, but I'm waiting for the day where I can bring this out. It's a beautiful coat. If you're looking for a wool wrap coat, it's the same as the Matthias in that it's a double-faced wool, so it's 100% wool. It doesn't have a lining, so you've got the two panels of wool sewn together. It does drape quite nicely because it doesn't have that lining, and it doesn't feel colder because it doesn't have a lining. Obviously, it's not a coat for like minus temperatures, but if you experience a fairly mild winter, or you just want to wear it up until sort of December and then maybe wear something warmer in January and February, then it's absolutely fine for that. I wore mine pretty much all winter last year, and honestly, I didn't get that cold. So yes, it's really gorgeous. As I said, this new ecru shade is beautiful. I love the brightness and freshness it brings to darker winter outfits that usually are more kind of dreary and dark. I like the brightness that this brings. It reminds me of snow. I don't really have any bad things to say about the Mederick Coat. It's a cheaper alternative. If you're in Europe or the UK, it's a cheaper alternative to the coats from the Curated, which are very similar. Those coats are mixed slightly with cashmere, so they are a little bit softer. I have the boyfriend coat from the Curated, and it's a touch softer than the Mederick Coat, but honestly, it's about £100 more expensive in the UK, and I think the Mederick is just as nice in terms of the fit. I always get my Medericks in a size 38. I would say it fits pretty true to size. Again, I've heard people say that it fits bigger. I don't know. Again, it's a coat. I don't think it's intended to be super tight, so if you want to put a jumper underneath it, which for a big thick wool coat like that you probably do because you're probably wearing it in winter, I think it's fine to go with your true size. If you really want it more fitted, then you probably could size down, but I don't think you need to size up. I think you're going to be fine with your true size. You can see the length on me. It is quite a long wool coat. It's not a maxi coat, but it's kind of mid-calf length. It's the perfect length in my opinion. It looks really beautiful and it keeps you nice and warm even on your lower half. Yes, I really love it. If you're thinking of saving up for just like one coat in this video, I would potentially make it either the Clyde Trench or the Mederick. I think those are the most classic, the most timeless, the things that are going to stay in your wardrobe for the longest. You're not going to tire of, particularly if you get them in a neutral shade. I feel like they're going to last forever. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you found that video useful. Coats and jackets are by far my favourite pieces of clothing, which is why I love autumn winter styling so much. So I'm really happy to make this video. But if you'd like a part 2, there are so many other Sezane styles of coats and jacket out there, some of which I haven't tried and I would be curious too. So if you'd like a part 2 to this video with some other styles, then let me know down below and let me know which coats or jackets you'd like me to show. Other than that, make sure to like this video if you found it helpful or entertaining, or you just enjoyed watching it. Subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. I think I want to do a giveaway when I get to 5,000 subscribers. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I would like to give something away as a token of my appreciation. So make sure you subscribed if you're not already, so we can get to 5,000 super quickly. Otherwise, if you would like to watch some more Sezane content, I will leave some on the screen here for you to choose from. And I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye!